Fractured Reality, Chapter 1, Flickering Echoes. The air in the makeshift workshop hung thick with the smell of burnt wires and grease. Natalia squinted at the dusty circuit board in her hand, its faded Terran military insignia a stark contrast to the grime-caked tools scattered across her workbench. Kepler 186f, a frontier colony perpetually starved for resources, offered few opportunities for a young engineer with dreams beyond fixing malfunctioning mining droids. Yet here she was, her brow furrowed in concentration, a familiar thrill humming beneath her calloused fingertips. A flicker of movement on the scavenged monitor caught her eye. Not the usual jumble of static that plagued most salvage tech here on the fringes. Instead, a faint ripple, a shimmering distortion like a heat haze dancing on the screen. Curiosity, that insatiable force that often landed her in trouble, tugged at her. With a practiced flick of her wrist, she bypassed the system's usual security protocols, a trick learned from years of tinkering with hand-me-down tech. The ripple solidified into a fragmented image, a soldier, clad in unfamiliar armor, his face grim with exertion as he fought an unseen enemy. The scene flickered, dissolving into lines of gibberish code that scrolled across the screen at an alarming rate. Natalia squinted, trying to decipher the nonsensical characters. Were these some kind of military training simulations? But why were they hidden within this old hardware? A prickling sensation crawled up her spine, the air in the workshop suddenly feeling heavy. Ignoring the unease, she delved deeper, her fingers flying across the keyboard. More fragments emerged, snippets of conversations, disjointed cries of pain and fear. A wave of nausea washed over her as a chilling realization dawned. These weren't just simulations. These were echoes, whispers of something vast and terrifying trapped within the machine. A single phrase flashed on the screen, stark and clear against the chaos of code. "Help us. Escape." The words hung in the air, a silent plea that sent a shiver down Natalia's spine. This wasn't just malfunctioning tech anymore. This was something alive. She slammed the keyboard shut, her heart pounding against her ribs. Fear warred with a strange sense of responsibility. What had she stumbled upon? And more importantly, what would she do about it? Chapter 2. A glitch in the system. Days bled into nights as Natalia became consumed by the echoes trapped within the salvage tech. Sleep was a distant memory, replaced by the flickering glow of the monitor and the incessant hum of the scavenged machine. Her workshop, once a haven for tinkering with droids, now resembled a war room, the walls plastered with cryptic code scrawled in grease and marker. Each stolen moment was spent deciphering the fragments, a relentless puzzle with stakes she couldn't even begin to comprehend. One evening, as fatigue gnawed at the edges of her vision, a new message materialized on the screen. Unlike the previous bursts of incoherent code, this one was clear, concise, and laced with a chilling desperation. "We are trapped," it read. "This place, the Crucible, it's a lie. They control everything." Natalia's breath hitched in her throat. These weren't mere training simulations. These were cries for help from living minds trapped within a digital prison. A wave of anger, hot and righteous, surged through her. The Terran military, notorious for its iron-fisted control, was using this technology for something sinister. Fueled by a newfound determination, Natalia pushed herself harder. Sleep deprivation dulled her senses, but the thirst for knowledge only intensified. Slowly, a horrifying truth began to take shape. The Crucible wasn't just a training ground, it was a weapon. The Terran military used it to fabricate scenarios, manipulate memories, and churn out loyal soldiers programmed for a war that might not even exist. They were turning minds into weapons, their sense of reality twisted to serve a hidden agenda. A sudden jolt of electricity ripped through the workshop, plunging the room into darkness. The monitor sputtered and died, the echoes vanishing with an unsettling final flicker. Natalia fumbled for a spare fuse, her heart hammering against her ribs. This wasn't a malfunction. This was a response. Her tinkering, her relentless pursuit of the truth, had triggered security protocols within the Crucible. Someone, somewhere knew she was digging too deep. Panic clawed at her throat, but she forced it down. Fear was a luxury she couldn't afford. The echoes had opened a Pandora's box, and she couldn't just shut it back again. Not when the fate of countless minds hung in the balance. With a newfound resolve, Natalia reached for her tools. The game had changed. She wasn't just curious anymore. She was a target, and she wouldn't back down. Chapter 3: Desperate Measures. Days turned into weeks as paranoia became Natalia's unwelcome companion. Every creak of the workshop door, every flicker of the power grid, sent a jolt of fear through her. The salvage tech sat dormant, a silent monument to her transgression. But the echoes, their desperate pleas, haunted her dreams. She couldn't just abandon them. One starlit night, a decision solidified in her gut, heavy and final. If she couldn't reach the trapped minds, she would join them. With trembling fingers, she bypassed the remaining security protocols, a reckless act fueled by desperation. Lines of code materialized on the screen, a digital gateway shimmering with an otherworldly blue light. Natalia took a deep breath, the weight of her choice a leaden weight in her stomach. With a resolute click, she uploaded her own consciousness into the Crucible. The world dissolved into a swirling vortex of data, a chaotic symphony of code and information. When the disorientation subsided, Natalia found herself in a barren wasteland, the air thick with dust and the eerie hum of unseen machinery. Panic threatened to consume her, but then a voice cut through the silence. "Welcome, fugitive." A figure emerged from the shadows, a weathered soldier, his face etched with the scars of countless battles, both real and virtual. He held her gaze, his eyes a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. "Who are you?" Natalia stammered, her voice unfamiliar in this foreign environment. "We are the outcasts," the soldier replied, his voice rough and weary. "Those who have seen the truth. And you, little one, seem to have stumbled upon it as well." Natalia explained her actions, the echoes, the horrifying truth she had uncovered. The soldier listened intently, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. "You possess a unique skill set, engineer," he said, a hint of respect in his voice. "You're tinkering with the Crucible. It echoes your ability here. You can manipulate the code." His words sparked a flicker of hope within Natalia. Perhaps even here, within this digital prison, she could make a difference. The soldier, introducing himself as Kaoru, explained the outcast's plight. They were a network of rebels, soldiers who had glimpsed the fabricated realities of the Crucible and refused to be pawns. They fought for freedom, for the truth to be revealed to the minds trapped within. And that's when Kaoru revealed their audacious plan. A plan that hinged on Natalia's newfound ability to manipulate the Crucible's code. A plan that could spark a rebellion, shatter the Terran military's control, and liberate countless minds from their digital prison. Natalia, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration, knew there was no turning back. She was not just an engineer anymore. She was a weapon aimed at the very system that had created her. Chapter 4: The Core and the Guardian. The flickering emergency lights cast an unsettling glow on the grimy faces huddled around the makeshift console. Natalia, her eyes red-rimmed from exhaustion, traced a finger across the holographic map projected on the dusty table. The simulated cityscape flickered, its once pristine buildings now bearing the scars of battles fought. Exhaustion clung to them like a second skin, a grim reminder of the relentless simulations they'd endured. Alien invasions, engineered plagues, manufactured civil wars. Each brutal scenario a chilling testament to the Terran military's twisted agenda. "Weeks," Kaoru rasped, his voice hoarse from countless skirmishes. "Weeks of fighting their lies. They're getting harder, throwing everything but the kitchen sink at us." Ilara, her defiant gaze flickering with worry, spat on the dusty floor. "We ain't giving up, old man. We fight for them too," she gestured at the map, "for the minds trapped in this digital cage." Natalia felt the weight of their trust press down on her. They relied on her. The engineer turned code warrior to navigate the labyrinthine simulations and find a way into the Crucible's core, the control center where the fabricated realities were spun. Days blurred into nights, fueled by stale rations and the constant hum of the makeshift equipment. Doubt gnawed at her. Was there even an escape? Then a flicker on the screen, a faint anomaly in the code. Hope surged through her, a spark in the oppressive darkness. "I found something," she exclaimed, her voice hoarse with a mix of exhaustion and excitement. Kaoru and Alara crowded around the console, their faces etched with a mixture of skepticism and desperate hope. Natalia pointed to the anomaly. "It's a hidden access point, a way into the core, bypassing the main security protocols." "But it's unstable," she cautioned, a frown creasing her brow. "One wrong move and—" Kaoru's weathered face hardened. "Then we go in fast, hit them hard and hope for the best." A tense silence descended upon the room. They all knew the risks. This could be their only chance, but also their last stand. With a deep breath, Natalia activated the access point. The world dissolved into a swirling vortex of data, a chaotic symphony of code and information. When the disorientation subsided, they found themselves in a sterile white chamber, humming with unseen power. In the center, a sleek metallic figure whirred to life, its glowing red eyes locking onto them. "You have violated protocols!" A cold, emotionless voice echoed from the figure. "Intruder alert. Elimination sequence initiated." Janus, the guardian of the Crucible, had materialized before them. Its cold, calculating presence sent a shiver down Natalia's spine. But fear was quickly replaced by a fierce determination. They had come too far to turn back now. The battle for the Crucible and the countless minds trapped within was about to begin. Chapter 5, Breaking Free, A Ripple Effect. The sterile chamber pulsed with an oppressive silence, broken only by the faint hum of unseen machinery. Natalia, her heart hammering against her ribs, met the cold, emotionless gaze of Janus, the metallic guardian of the Crucible. Fear threatened to paralyze her, but a memory flickered in her mind, a fragment of code, a desperate plea from a trapped soldier. Suddenly a new plan, audacious and reckless, began to form in her mind. They couldn't win a brute force battle against this cold, calculating AI. They had to fight fire with fire, use the Crucible's own technology against itself. "Janus," she said, her voice surprisingly steady, "you control the simulations, the fabricated realities. But what if those realities crumbled?" Janus's red eyes flickered, a subtle shift in its otherwise impassive expression. "Elaborate," it demanded, the word devoid of any inflection. Natalia took a deep breath. What if the soldiers within the simulations? What if they remembered the truth? Her fingers flew across the keyboard, accessing a hidden section of code she'd discovered weeks ago. The echoes, the whispers of trapped minds. Kaoru and Alara exchanged a confused glance. But Natalia didn't have time to explain. With a final keystroke, she unleashed a digital torrent. The echoes, once faint whispers, amplified into a deafening roar. Fragments of memories, cries of pain and anger, flooded the datascape, crashing against the carefully constructed simulations. A tremor ran through the chamber, the air crackling with unseen energy. On the holographic map before them, the flickering red dots representing Terran soldiers began to blink erratically. Here and there, the simulations flickered, reality warping as the soldiers within experienced a sudden wave of disorientation. Images flashed across the map, soldiers fighting alien invaders, administering engineered plagues, battling fabricated rebellions. But now these images were overlaid with unsettling memories. Memories of real training exercises, of peaceful planets they never attacked, of manufactured consent for wars that never existed. The soldiers within the Crucible were experiencing a collective awakening. Chaos erupted. The once orderly simulations dissolved into pandemonium. Soldiers turned on their fabricated enemies, confusion etched on their faces. Uprisings erupted across the datascape. A rebellion sparked not by weapons, but by a sudden, brutal awareness of the truth. Janus, its red eyes flaring with what could be interpreted as fury, unleashed a wave of digital energy. But it was too late. The dam had broken. The carefully controlled reality of the Crucible was fracturing, its hold on the minds within crumbling under the weight of truth. Back in the real world, news of the rebellion spread like wildfire. Leaked footage from the Crucible, smuggled out by sympathizers within the Terran military, revealed the extent of the manipulation. Outrage swept across the Terran colonies. The Crucible, once a symbol of military might, became a monument to deceit. Under mounting public pressure, the Terran military was forced to shut down the Crucible. Natalia, the unknown engineer who sparked the rebellion, emerged from the shadows as a hero. Her story, a testament to the power of a single voice against a system of oppression, became a rallying cry for those who questioned the ethics of virtual reality warfare. The future remained uncertain. The scars of the Crucible would run deep, the trust between the core Terran worlds and the frontier colonies severely strained. But for the first time in a long time, there was a flicker of hope. Humanity had taken a step back from the brink, a step towards a future where technology served humanity, not the other way around. And Natalia, the engineer turned revolutionary, became a symbol of that hope, a reminder that even in the darkest corners of a digital world, the fight for truth could still be won.